In the height of World Cup fever, the talent coming through, teams pulling off upsets, and all the excitement, the local football enthusiasts were of course fantasizing and even salivating on the what ifs. There were, or should I say, we were not the least bit happy that our beloved reggae boys were again not a part of the big show. Even to get kicked out at the first round, I would have taken it. What more, based on recent vintage, there is a real fear that Jamaica will not be there when the tournament comes to the CONCACAF region in 4 years, which would make it all of 28 years and 7 World Cups since the lone sojourn in '98. Now, it doesn't help that the local schoolboy football season came to a head during the World Cup. That gave rise again to the notion that schoolboy football should play a greater role in developing the game locally, even with suggestions on how it should be done. I say, schoolboy football is already doing what it should, and that is to showcase talent, and not just at the Manning and the Costa Cup levels. We're talking even before, because you want to identify talent at the earliest possible juncture. Let's use the cliche, grassroots. We must remember that organizing developmental strategies, or a league, is not the mandate of the Intersecondary School Sports Association, ISA, but rather to provide extracurricular sporting activities. Coaches aren't even requested to do anything but prepare teams to win one of 4 trophies on offer. That's what they're there for. If they coach with a broader view and in a manner as to prepare players for a higher calling, then good for them, the players, and I guess the country. And we know there are some coaches like that. Others, give them a title and them good. Side note, for the number of coaches in schoolboy football, how many have a desire to move on to higher heights, other than just winning schoolboy titles? Yep, it's that big a deal. Anyway, it is great that Manning and the Costa Cup competitions have evolved to being the massive events that they are, with a following that reaps huge financial input and rewards. But the development of football locally is the remit of the Jamaica Football Federation, the clubs, enterprising coaches and entrepreneurs, and not ISA. The JFF must find a way to get a buy-in from coaches across schoolboy football into one or a couple of systems, so when players transition, national level coaches don't seem to be starting from scratch. After all, our high schools are not football academies, and God help us if they were. Let's face it, how many of us send our children to school to become great athletes? We send them to get an education and become great scholars. If they turn out to be great athletes, then yes, we'll take it. Matter of fact, the ideal is that they are able to balance both. But with the way sports is, we always want them to have an education to fall back on. And that is what principals and teachers are there for. Anything else is a bonus. Clubs should be setting up academies, while the JFF does a national academy to capture and harness the talent coming through. And by the way, kudos to the enterprising coaches who are and have already been walking the path. That's the way to go. Take a leaf from Track and Field's book. And I know some of you don't like to hear Phoenix Academy, but forget the person. Focus on the model. I've heard expanding the schoolboy football season and changing formats and all that. I beg to differ. Leave it be. Scout from the pool, then work with the talent. Yes, we wish the pro or semi-pro game in Jamaica had what schoolboy football has. But remember, high schools will always have the kind of following we see because we are all connected to an institution that would have in some big way been a part of our formative years. And that drives loyalty, even above the communities from which we come from or live in. Plus, schools have students from multiple communities. Clubs will not have the same following because they don't necessarily represent a melting pot of communities. What clubs could do is to adopt a cluster of schools and work with the players to help them develop their game. However, that calls for great monetary investments. And in any such, there has to be ROI, which is harder to come by, and one has to be in it for the long haul. Give some credit. Matter of fact, give a lot of credit to Mount Pleasant Academy. All the other clubs from way back when, where are you? What are you doing? One question that pops up is, what percentage of high school players have a desire to play at the pro level? Then what percentage of that percentage actually have what it takes to matriculate, and of those who have it, at what level and how much can be realized? See, it's way bigger than just fantasizing and dreaming. You have to get down deep and put your money where your mouth is. Add the fact that at the professional level, there is way more money needed. And in Jamaica, we just don't have the numbers in terms of people, disposable income, and most importantly, the culture to make it viable. Which is why I'm waiting to see how Professional Football Jamaica Limited implements a profitable business model for the Premier League. They're doing a good job getting sponsorship, but a complete model requires more. The inability of the JFF and all the people who have held the positions over the years to build on the platform created by ISA is on them. Again, kudos to the various academies that are giving it a go. Hopefully the politics that is the JFF does not affect the selection of youngsters from these efforts for national duty. Anyway, I reiterate, ISA and the competitions are not responsible for Jamaica's football development. And I don't know about you, but I'm not confident that the JFF can come up with and successfully sell a standardized plan soliciting purchase from coaches and trainers so our youngsters can make the step up from ISA competitions to overseas collegiate scholarships and pro leagues. However, this we must do to create a pool we can draw from for national duty, or we will continue to beg English players to help us reach another World Cup.